People are talking about you. Okay, that's fine. That's great. We want to listen to your side of the story, but what about the other people that you mentioned in your video? See, this is one thing that really bothers me the most is that she said all
Mm-hmm.
these things on her video without providing any evidence, without providing, and everything she was like very, very, what is the word? Hyper
Vague.
emotional to the point of, she's losing her balance like between her heart and her mind. Um, I mean, that's the way I would interpret it. I feel bad for her. I really do, because who wants to be in that situation anyway? Okay. And there are some corrupt, greedy, immoral, unethical,
Hmm.
and unprofessional pageant organizations. That is
Yes,
true. That's a
that is
fact.
true. That's a
Okay.
fact.
Young women are lured into this organization, into this pageants with promises of big
Grander.
cash
Hmm.
prizes, with a lot of sponsors, gifts, cash prizes, travel all over the world and whatnot. This is what they do. They lure in young women by announcing all these prizes, which probably do not
Exactly.
exist to begin with. Okay.
Hmm.
But I don't think that's the case with Miss Grant.
No,
Wouldn't you agree, Noemi?
no. In the contract, this is one thing that these young women need to understand. When you compete in a pageant and you sign the contract, when you sign it is because you're agreeing to the terms and conditions of that contract. Okay. Now, if you signed it and suddenly you don't agree with certain terms in the contract, unfortunately, you have no leg to stand on because you already signed a contract and you agreed by it. Now, if you don't agree on certain terms of the contract, then what you should have done is discuss it before signing it, okay? And negotiate if you can. Some of these, pageants are just standard, contract pageant legal documents where
Mhm.
it literally it states what the organization is doing for you. They get you an apartment. They tell you when they're going to give you your prize money. They tell you when if it's money or if it's material things, when you get them. It states all of that in detail in the contract. There's nothing that they are holding back or not telling you. You just
Mhm.
need to really pay attention on what you're signing. And these girls think that they could sign a contract and then later negotiate the terms. No,
No, it
it,
doesn't
it
work that
doesn't
way.
work that
No.
way.
Yeah.
It doesn't
So
work that way.
yeah, which made me question, did she have a lawyer look into this contract? I'm
See,
wondering.
that's a thing. So, when you win, immediately you sign a contract with the organization because you are the winner for the pageant. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're not agreeing with and you're not understanding the terms, or you just don't have time to read it, then take your time, send it to a lawyer and have them read it and know exactly what you are signing and know exactly what you're getting into. I know for a fact because remember, I was a director for Miss Grand International for Cuba for 10 years. Okay. I already have one winner, which is Lise Garcia. We've already went through this year what she stated that she was dumped. Basically, that's what she said. She was dumped or she was just put in an apartment very far away from everything, etc. The year that Lise won, she had an apartment. It was not very central. It was quite far from like the city, but it was it was part of the prizes.
Hmm.
Okay. So when I was listening to her in the video and she was saying, "Oh, they don't give me no food and they don't give me any toiletries and they didn't give me a car or a cell phone." Mama, that's not even in the contract. They don't give you, those are things that they don't give you. I don't know who told her or why she would expect that,
Hmm.
but when she said the car, it was like,
Mm-hmm. I
what?
What car?
What car are you talking about, girlfriend? Like, no, mommy, no. It's just like when you know, when you have a job and they relocate you to an apartment,
Mhm.
okay? So you have a furnished apartment, but the things that you need, right? Like toiletries, food and stuff, you need to provide it yourself. The
Exactly.
company is not going to provide that.
Right.
So, you know, if you felt that where they put you in was too far and it was not central for you and it was, you know, not convenient in regards to transportation, which I understand because again, you're going to a foreign country, you don't really know the transportation, you don't know the areas. It's I get it. I get it. You're, you know, I think this is another situation of a girl that's never lived alone. And, you know, she never lived alone in an apartment. She's a very, you know, very much close to her family. She's lived with her family all this time. So it's
Yeah.
very difficult for you to leave that safe environment, right? That
Right.
family environment to be,
Yeah.
you know, put in a situation where you're alone. You don't
Mhm.
know the language, right? You don't have any friends. You're kind of far away from like central things. And yes, it happened to Lise.
Yeah.
Lise was like, yes, it exactly what she said happened to
Mhm.
me. However, Lise is older than she is, right? And so what she did was she had to walk a mile from her apartment to go to the closest train station to be able to move around.
Mhm.
But she did it. She walked to this train station. She learned how to use public transportation to
Right.
get where she needed to go to. She
Yes.
bought her own food. You know, she didn't depend on Miss Grand International to send her a delivery of food.
She did not have any assistance.
She didn't have any
No personal
assistance.
assistance. Yeah. Yep.
You don't have a personal assistant because that is not part of the contract.
Hmm.
Okay. You when you win, you do not have a calendar full of events. That's maybe in the beginning because you won and you have all these events coming on. But afterwards, there's kind of like a pause, right? There's kind of like everything dies down. So there's a lot of downtime in between. So when you're, you know, Lise would tell me there's a lot of downtime when you're Miss Grand International, especially if you're living in Thailand.
Hmm.
So I think the fact that she, you know, she didn't have any friends, she didn't know anybody, that really bothered her
Right.
and felt alone. She felt isolated, which I totally understand and I totally get. But that happens to each and every one of the girls because it's not your country. It's a country that, you know, you're only staying there for a year
Right.
and you have to learn how to navigate and ask questions. You have
Yeah.
your team there.
Yeah. And I don't think the organization would put their queen in a space where they don't feel it's safe.
No,
Um,
I
do
don't
you
believe
remember the
that.
case with Anaya Garcia, Miss Dominican,
Yes.
Miss Grand 2015? I mean, yeah,
Hmm.
2015 from the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
was, and now she's doing the rounds on the internet and social
Of
media,
course, because now she's relevant. Now she's
narrating.
back. Now she's
Yeah,
relevant again.
because it's
Sorry.
exactly 10 years. It's being exact. It's a 10-year mark from her dethrone from MGI, and now 10 years later happens again, and the allegations are almost mixed. And this is the thing that any contestant needs to realize: whatever treatment, winning prizes, and package you get on a national level has nothing to do with the winning package and treatment that you will get on an international level. It's completely different. Like when the girls in Miss Universe live in New York, they need to walk, they need to take the train, they need to do certain things. You know, she mentioned something about excitement. I mean, if you are winning, you depend on the money that they're gonna give that little
Right.
money every
Mhm.
month. That's the money that you need to use to buy
To
your
buy your
stuff.
food.
Hmm.
And you live in Asia, which, for what I heard,
Super
I've never
cheap.
been there. Hopefully, this is the year that I'm going to Asia. Thanks God. I will be able to experience that. But I mean, Thailand, Vietnam are countries that, you know, is cheap when you change. Of
Hmm.
course, I'm talking from dollars to their
Yeah, but
currency.
she's
I don't
getting
know
paid
how
in American currency.
exactly.
So
So
it will stretch out. You
it will
just have to
stretch
know how
out.
to budget. You
Yep.
need
And
like anything.
she, and exact, I mean, I don't know exactly where it's located, but that is one of the things that you mentioned, Noemi, about Liz, which I love her so much. She is one of the best Miss Grand ever. Um,
I asked Noemi if Lise could come to our discussion. And what did Lise say?
No. No.
and this is the thing, Liz is a
I
very
even offered to pay
professional.
her $100,
in,
but she
in
turned me down.
rupees, in rupee.